Hello, today we're going to be jumping into how to set turret walls on uneven ground and in the most secure way possible with the turrets not collapsing too much. And also how to secure the turrets with as many snap points as possible, and we're going to go over how to float turrets. Alright, so as you see, we're popping down the foundations in uneven terrain, right? But now how do we create a nice turret wall that doesn't collapse in on itself when we do this? Okay, so we'll do a small little section here. All right, one, we need to go back. Probably need to go 3 foundations wide. Alright, if you can't go 3, that's okay, but 3 is preferred. Now in previous videos you'll have seen I've used pillars on some of the turret walls, and I used double door frames on others. So some issues with pillars. So if I started at the bottom and work my way up, even if I put a ceiling or something at the top for it to connect to, if it gets taken out at the bottom because I started at the bottom, the whole row, the whole thing falls. If I started at a ceiling on top and bring it all the way to the bottom, then it only breaks if something blows up the top part of that's connected to the ceiling. But then the whole row still falls, even though it's anchored to the bottom. So maybe this will be updated in the future, but for now, the pillars are actually pretty weak. So if you must use pillars, you could use this trick. I don't know how much this trick actually, if this trick is bannable or not, because it's technically using snap points, but yeah, so once you place a pillar, use this at your own risk though, alright? Place pillars and you can place the double door in the, in the middle of the foundation like this and on the corners, that way this works, and then you can pop the double door foundations up with the pillars, and then you can use, it's very important the double doors go up first, and then you can use the railings. Right. So we have tech railings. And you can place the hooks. If it will place, there we go. Snap it up. Alright, so if you can use a pillar with railings like this, you can pop your turrets on there. Of course, you can do this, the same thing all around the pillar. We can come all around it like this. If you really wanted to use one pillar for a bunch of turrets, I don't recommend doing that, but if you really did, you could come around like this and do it on all sides, right? And pop these on all sides. Alright, so, but for this purpose, I'm going to show this. So if you are using pillars, make sure to put double door frames in front of them like that, where the railings are going to go. Alright, if you put the railings down first, the double door frames will be considered obstructed and won't be able to place. So you place them first. And there you go. Now you have a more secured pillar. So if somehow they take out the pillar before the double door frames, so if they do take out the pillar, right, all the pillars fall. I didn't go high enough. I didn't put one more door frame up. So the door frames have to go above the pillar. So you saw we lost our tech turret at the top. The other 2 turrets stayed. So even if they took out the pillar, as long as they didn't take out the double doors, we're good. And of course you can reinforce the double doors so they don't fall down either, even if the bottom one's taken out. But of course there's ways to reinforce the double door frames so they don't fall down if the bottom one gets taken out or even the top one gets taken out. But this does create, while these railings are snapped to the double door frames, it gives the illusion of floating turrets. So this is something, I don't know if I would remove the pillars. If you do this setup, this is just extra security in case your pillars get destroyed. If you remove the pillars, it might be bannable. It's unlikely, but they've banned for floating turrets in the past, even though this, I'm not sure this is exactly floating, since they are connected here, and if you break the proper support, they will break. Alright, before floating turrets wouldn't break even if the support was broken. Okay. Now designed for turret walls, outside teleport pads, things like that. We'll go over and show you that. We're going to be using double door frames. Okay, double door frames have a much smaller profile than pillars. But how do we build with these on uneven? Because they're not all going to line up, and then they won't snap correctly to each other, and you will get a mess when somebody starts attacking. So we used to have this problem all the time in Arc ASE. You just had to build on pillars, which we see we don't want to do that, and the pillars are kind of weak. So what we can do is take ceilings over, and I know, right, if the enemy player is to get under a ceiling, they have an advantage, but the ceilings won't be staying. So we'll just use ceilings for now. We'll go all the way over to all our uneven terrain here. Okay, now we have the ceilings placed. We created a level plane for the double door frames. Now, double door frames have interesting snapping mechanics. So to make this work, we'll just start here. And then go down 1. right? And then snap top, and then to the ceiling. Make sure it's snapping to the ceiling, not the foundation. Right, so there you go. Even though it's snapping to the ceiling and coming down past the foundation, it's also snapping to the foundation. But if you were to, let's say, if I were to snap it to the foundation and it goes past the ceiling, it doesn't snap to the ceiling or the other pieces. So it's important that you make sure when it comes down, it's snapping to the ceiling and not the foundation itself. So like here, it's snapping to the foundation. We want it to snap to this. If we look down, we can see how the green's going through the other door frame. That's not what we want to see. We want to see it coming straight from the bottom and going through the foundation. That's what we want right there. Okay, and now of course, I put these on the wrong side. These should be on this back side of this foundation here, but not a big deal. Just keep that in mind when building it yourself. Put it on the back side here. And for now, we'll just increase this by one more foundation. Okay, so as you can see, we have 3 foundations in front, and then we come back 1 foundation. If you can afford it, if you have enough space in your cave that you can do this, or wherever you're building your turrets at, you can come back, get more foundations. Now, if you're worried about the LOS issue caused by two door frames because a small player can probably hide behind them or you avoid some turrets from it, you can go every other one. Alright, then the next trick is to place your door frame, come back and place door frames like this. Now we could skip and go every other one if you wanted here, so your turrets aren't too close together. And then as you see, now we can come out this way. Oh, and this is the top level, so of course we can come out this way. Okay, so as you can see, we got these going up and we can place turrets on them. Now, if you want more turrets, you don't mind them being side by side or closer together, you can always place more like this instead of skipping one. And then you'll end up with turrets kind of like this close together. Which isn't a huge deal, as long as you stagger. Alright, and if you put them this close together, that's fine. If you're trying to get concentrated fire, concentrated fire is good. But don't do this right here, where you put 2 tech turrets side by side. If you're doing them this close together, make sure your tech turret goes every other one. Otherwise, you're going to end up with splash damage from tech weapons breaking both your tech turrets instead of just one. And of course, if you want to know what damages turrets, check out my turret weakness video on how far do turrets shoot. Now, for safety reasons, I only like to go 1 foundation further than the turrets for the next part of the turret wall. But if you really want to, you can push it a total of 3 foundations out with that. Any further than that, it's really too far. So if you come out 3, and plus in a lot of caves, you won't have room for that necessarily. So come out 3, and then you can place your fencing around there. And that has to do with turret range and tech weapon range, so make sure to check out that other video. But I prefer to only go 1 foundation away from the turrets, just due to the different methods for pushing with tech weapons. So because they can block with a stego, they can walk forward with if you go out 3, they only have to walk forward with a stego into 1 foundation range of getting shot or whatever tank down they're using, and then they can move forward with tech rifles and any other time. If they have the tech rifles, they can do that from the back of the stego. 1 foundation in, they can shoot this right here. So the more foundations in they have to go, the less likely they are to be able to do that. Or if they're able to push in 2 foundations, they can have a tech rex or tech tape come up behind them and blast away as well. So 1 foundation away from the turrets to build your fencing is better. But maximum, I wouldn't go out more than 3. Of course, if you're okay with if you're going to be doing layers and layers of fencing and you're okay with them getting blasted down and then wasting their element on it, go for it. Alright, now to show you how to reinforce this. We're only going a few tall. This can go as tall or short as you want, and it should still work the same. It can go as wide as you want, it should still work the same, right? 1 foundation should be enough to make this work. So you can use this on your teleport pads, anywhere you're building turrets that go up into the air. To make this work, we'll go down to the end here. Alright, and as you can see, we already have 1. We'll place another one here, like this. Alright, and then you can go up here if you want, but if you're trying to save resources, just go up in the back. All right, so here we are. We went up in the back. All right, and then you can just build one over, and you can just do this every couple of spots. All right, come on, over one like that. And then if this was taller, we could do, you know, every other one or every 3 and place one like that. And they're connected to these back ones. Right? That way, if anything gets disconnected, this keeps it from falling. And so as you see, these ceilings we built on creating an LOS issue, right? You don't want these here on your wall when you're done. I believe my ASCII video, one of my last builds, will have some ceilings on there because I was still working on different, I was still experimenting with the different things. So don't do that. That's an LOS issue. But leave it on until your build is almost done. Definitely wouldn't put turrets down in case something does go wrong and somehow you didn't snap right. Okay, so I'm going to go through and finish the rest of these real quick. Alright, so we've created a lot of snap points and fail-safe points, so we can put turrets on here, however you want to place them. One thing you'll notice is that unlike pillars, the turrets have a decent amount of fire rate behind them on each side of this, and this not being super blocked. We can even come back here and drop a couple of turrets in the back here to create some range differences. Okay, now we got everything anchored. We can start putting the turrets on. Of course, like I said, you don't want to put turrets on until you're sure this works and you've destroyed the ceilings. But we'll do that in just a second. I want to show you the turrets real quick. So you can place turrets on these walls like this, right? You could place them on the side like this if you really wanted to. But that limits the range of fire off for them. They get a more range of fire from here. They're less blocked. Alright, and now they can fire behind any direction over there, any direction over here, and there's so much less LOS than if we had pillars here. And of course, if we build this taller, you know, we probably wouldn't put these cross sections so low. So then as it looked to the right over here where I just built a bunch of stuff, it would have less LOS issues that direction as well. And of course it has full free range in front of it. Alright, so as you can see, this build is pretty modular. It can be shaped many different sizes, however you need, and used in as small or big spaces as you need. And this design can be reused on vacuum chambers as well, pretty decently. Okay, so now for the test, right? This is the foundation. Let's not destroy that. Ceiling. And now we need to go through and destroy the ceilings. So go through and get rid of them. We did something wrong here, because you notice all that fell. So, I'm saying you want to be careful about placing your turrets before you've destroyed these ceilings. What did we do wrong here? Well, let's see if it happens again and see if it recreates it. Okay, so I know what I did wrong now. I skipped a step. Sorry. So you gotta do the same things with these sideways ones as we did with the front-facing ones. We come through here and we place them down like this. You gotta snap from the ceiling down, though. Okay. So you see the ones where I went all the way down, the left and right ones, they kept the front turrets. So you want to go all the way down with these as well. Alright, so one issue we can get when using this method, of course, is that for some reason the ones going sideways that the turrets are going to be on aren't anchoring as well as the ones that were kind of being used as caging. So show you what I mean. You can see we go all the way down into the foundations just like these. Right, the back ones, and they're freestanding. Alright, but if we destroyed this ceiling, they fall. So if you're having this issue where some of them don't want to stay and you want to keep everything level and even, which is actually important for the next snapping point, you can go ahead and leave the ceilings until the next snapping point is done. That's probably advisable not to destroy the ceilings until your next snapping point has been set. Okay, so what we're going to do is, well, as you can see, we have some of these are working, so we're going to be able to do our next snapping point. We'll go to what is the top of the tower, right? For now, this is going to be here. And we'll snap a ceiling back here like this. So you can do the ceiling 2 different ways, this back ceiling 2 different ways. You can do it at the very tip top of your tower, or you can go 1 or 2 higher than your ceiling, because the ceiling does create an LOS issue, but the amount of strength you get by having these is worth it. It's worth the LOS issue you get. So if you go 1 or 2 higher, though, you can have turrets setting up here, that can still shoot anybody that comes above the ceiling, creating so that even though it may LOS a few turrets down low, some of the turrets still on these there can still see you hiding over here. So then it creates, and of course the bigger dinosaur would be seen, so it's not that big of an LOS issue. It just may become an issue in like water caves. But the added strength this gives you is really nice. Alright, so then you build it back up off the ceiling here, and you just make sure to connect. Just make sure to connect these pieces. If it cooperates, there we go. Like that. And now, if someone breaks down low, the ceiling up here will hang on to up high. And as long as this one, this line here, continues going up, let's say you go even higher with the wall. Alright, now that ceiling is still holding all of that. Of course, that one breaks. Everything above it falls. You can use pillars or double doors on the back of it as well to come down and create some more anchor points for the ceilings. So they're not just anchored into just these double doors, but that those work fine. Well, that's a good sign to stay. So when I demo these ceilings, this should stay now. Before it was falling, right? And there we go. They stayed because they're connected up at that top part with the ceilings. And of course, all the way down will be connected. So as long as I bring these out and connect them to these, even if a section gets destroyed, as long as the top section is destroyed, it won't fall. It's unfortunate that some of these will only be snapped to a top. They need to be snapped to the bottom too, but for some reason, a few of these won't follow the rules of the rest. So that can happen. Building's a little weird in Ark. And of course, if you don't want to snap anywhere but to the bottom, you can always leave these uneven. And just snap them to your uneven foundations and go up with them. But it's better to even them out like this and have them snap to the top and bottom, even if some of the parts aren't going to be snapped to the bottom, and they're still snapped to the top. That being a wall, the enemy shouldn't be able to get behind it, which means they shouldn't be able to destroy that up there if you've set everything up correctly. Now, sometimes enemies can do tricks and stuff to get behind walls, and that is what it is. No matter how you build a wall, if someone gets behind it, it's probably going to be in trouble. Alright, but at least with this kind of wall, if someone does get behind it, these are still shooting at them, making it harder for them to destroy the ceilings. And when I show my brute video, you'll see my setup with a vacuum chamber with this. It's really nice. Floating turret towers in the middle of the ocean. So, keep an eye out for that video. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button. Have an awesome day.